You know, you see CVS Health pretty much everywhere. They're a giant in pharmacies, insurance, and these days even in doctors' offices. So when a company that big releases its financial results, you're expecting some pretty huge numbers. But wow, nobody saw this coming.
Just take a second and look at that number. That is almost $4 billion with a B. And let's be really clear, that's not how much money they made. That is the net loss that CVS Health reported in just one 3-month quarter. That is an absolutely staggering amount of red ink.
And to really put that into perspective, look at this. In the very same quarter last year, CVS actually turned a profit. So we're not just talking about, a slight dip. We're looking at a $4 billion swing from making money to losing money in just a year.
So this brings us to the big, obvious question, right? How on earth does one of the absolute pillars of American healthcare, a company that is literally everywhere, lose this kind of money this fast? Well, let's dig in.
The answer, as it turns out, is kind of buried in the fine print of the company's official paperwork they file with the government, a thing called a Form 10Q. And what it shows is that this giant loss, it's not coming from where you'd think. So here's the crucial thing. This isn't a story about stores being empty or people not filling their prescriptions. Nope. In fact, their sales are actually up, and we'll get to that in a minute. The real culprit here is a huge, one-time accounting charge, and it's tied directly to the company's biggest plans for the future.
Okay, so at the very heart of this story is a $5.7 billion write-down. The official, very technical term for it is a goodwill impairment. Now, I know that sounds super boring and complicated, but trust me, the idea behind it is actually pretty straightforward.
So let's start right there. What in the world is goodwill when you see it on a company's books?
Okay, think of it like this. When a company buys another company, it pays for all the physical stuff, right? The buildings, the computers, the inventory. But they almost always pay more than what that stuff is worth. That extra amount, that premium, is called goodwill. You're basically paying for the things you can't touch: the brand's reputation, its loyal customers, and, most importantly, its potential to make a ton of money in the future.
And this is exactly what's going on with CVS. They've been on a shopping spree, spending billions to buy up companies like Oak Street Health and Signify Health, trying to build out their own network of doctors and clinics. But according to their own filing, these brand new parts of the business are hitting some bumps in the road and just aren't growing as fast as they'd hoped.
And so here's the direct result. That goodwill, that premium they paid based on future growth, well, it had to be reevaluated. This $5.7 billion charge is basically CVS putting in writing, hey, you know what? Based on our new, lower forecasts, we overpaid. It's a massive loss on paper that shows they're having to rethink a huge part of their strategy.
But here's the real paradox in all of this. While the company is taking this massive financial hit on these big strategic acquisitions, its actual day-to-day business isn't just fine, it's actually growing.
I mean, just look at these numbers from their own report. Every single major part of their company, the insurance benefits, the health services, and the pharmacies we all go to, saw their revenue go up. Total revenue for the quarter jumped by more than $7 billion compared to last year. So more money's coming in the front door than ever.
So let's just nail this down. The core business is healthy. The pharmacies are humming along. The insurance plans are growing. This $4 billion loss has nothing to do with a failure in their daily operations. It's all an accounting move that reflects a big bet that, for now at least, just isn't paying off like they planned.
But of course, this big strategic rethink isn't happening in a bubble. The same financial report also sheds light on the really complex and high-pressure world CVS is living in right now, and that includes some pretty serious legal challenges.
Yeah, this is a company that is navigating some really rough waters. They're getting heat from regulators over drug prices, they're a part of those massive nationwide opioid settlements, and one of their major subsidiaries, a company called Omnicare, just filed for bankruptcy. That is a lot to juggle at once.
And now for a really fascinating twist of corporate accounting. That Omnicare bankruptcy, it actually helped their bottom line this quarter. It's a little complicated, but by officially separating that bankrupt company from its main books, CVS got to record a one-time gain of $483 million. It's just a wild example of how strange and complex these financial reports can be.
So, okay, after digging through all the numbers, the accounting terms, and the legal stuff, what does this all really mean? What does one really chaotic quarter tell us about where CVS Health is headed?
Well, their own filing really spells it out. CVS doesn't want to just be your pharmacy anymore. Their entire strategy is to build what they call an integrated model,
Basically, a one-stop shop for your health that connects your doctor, your insurance, and your prescriptions all into one giant seamless system.
And that, right there, leads us to the final, critical question. The very companies that led to this massive write-down, they are the key to that whole integrated vision. So is this $4 billion loss just a temporary stumble on their path to totally dominating the healthcare industry? Or could it be an early warning sign that their grand plan is just too big, too ambitious, and too complex to actually pull off? That's the multi-billion-dollar question this quarter leaves hanging in the air.